what I mean by that is that most people focus on how much copper gets consumed every year. And that's an interesting metric. It's very important. But what is ultimately more important is how much total copper has been installed into an economy. And the reason for that is that unlike energy, unlike oil or gas or grains, copper isn't consumed as such. It's really installed and it persists. So it's like a capital stock and it should be treated as a capital stock. And when you look at an economy of China's size versus how much copper has been installed, I think it has about 120 pounds per person installed. That eventually is expected to go to 250 pounds if China's ever going to get through its middle income trap, which it finds itself, just at the early stages of right now. And so, that means that Chinese copper demand could easily go from 50% of world supply up to 75 or 80% of world supply over the next decade, just to get it where it needs to be, which is to say an economy that's about $15,000 in per capita GDP with about 225, 250 pounds of copper installed per person. And that's people don't think like that. People look at demand, yearly demand. They say, oh, it's too high now. China's 60, 65, 70% of world demand. It's not 75% of the world GDP, so it's too high. But that's the wrong way to look at it. It needs to get to 250 pounds per person. Every economy that is that large, which is to say about $15,000 per capita GDP, has 200 plus pounds of copper installed in it. You simply cannot run the economy without it. It's needed for all the electrical grids, for all the power, transformers, and substations. India hasn't even started its trajectory yet. India is where China was or should have been in 2003, but it's actually even below trend line there. And people say, oh, well, couldn't that be that they're just sort of skipping a few steps the same way as maybe these telecom companies never went to the wireline? But you can't really do that with copper because, again, you're talking about the electricity infrastructure. You're talking about things that really can't be replaced or kind of worked around. So there's going to be a huge secondary source of demand growth over the next decade coming from India.